Welcome into the latest edition of our Cubs REKAP Podcast, a presentation of our REKAP YouTube channel and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcast. That's my partner, Gordon Wittenmeyer, who's in for a bit of a beating on this podcast. I'm David Kaplan. It's all brought to you by our great partners at the Illinois Tollway and their If Only campaign. If we only had slowed down the If Only campaign, brought to you by the Illinois Tollway. Well, it is the 28th of April. Doom and gloom over here. Had the Cubs basically buried at the end of April.
Ass.
Who's
you know
in
what I
first?
said. Yeah, the Cubs are in first, and I give them credit for that. Look, all I said was we were going to know on April 28th a lot about this team and whether they were going to get buried or not.
You said it
they
with
did
a-
not get buried.
You said it in a negative tone, and you know you
I
did.
say everything in a negative tone. It doesn't mean I'm negative or wrong or anything else. I didn't make predictions that they would be buried. I said that this was the toughest schedule. In fact, what have we found out? We found out that this is the toughest month-long schedule based on what we know about this
that
team.
anyone in baseball will play.
That anyone in baseball will have all year based on what we think we know about these teams. That's according to, the nerds out there running the numbers and things.
Uh-huh.
But that says obviously a lot about this team. One thing it says is on paper, they have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. So that should fare well. Now they have to figure out their pitching, the end of their rotation, the bullpen, third base, and not fall into traps. Like where all of a sudden, a Pittsburgh Pirates suddenly becomes your Achilles heel this year, and you can't beat them because every time you face them, they got skeins and they win the series.
I have a trivia question for you.
What's that?
And for everybody out there. We gave it out on our rush hour, our 4 seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electric stat of the day. As of right now, today, while we're taping, 48 players have 5 or more home runs this season. 48 in all of baseball. 2 have more walks than strikeouts. Who are those 2 players?
Kyle Tucker.
Yep.
Is the other one a Cub?
Yep.
No, it ain't PCA.
This guy has 6 bombs, 15 walks, and only 5 strikeouts.
Wait a minute, I got numbers right here.
It's called thriving when you come to Chicago. He's not going to get it. You're looking
It is
at the
PCA.
stat. It is not. It is Carson Kelly.
Oh, Carson Kelly, the other guy. There's your three war leaders.
And Seiya Suzuki's in the top
Who the
21
hell
as well.
Who would have said those 3 going into the season would have led this team in war a month in?
They have 4, I think, of the top 21.
I'm just talking about just on the team because it tells you how they've been winning games.
We're pretty good, Gord.
You have a pretty good lineup. Kyle Tucker's done wonders for that lineup. You know what that underscores is what we've argued about for over a year, maybe over 2 years, is that when they haven't gone out and gotten that hitter, this is what going out and getting that hitter does to a lineup.
Correct. It lengthens the lineup. And I'm hearing that the Cubs have wrapped their brain around, it doesn't mean he'll accept it, wrap their brain around whatever it costs, we're paying it, and they want to keep Tucker. That's what I'm hearing.
I hope so. I think that's definitely the way to go. I talked to, I was just on a long road trip and talked to a lot of people about the Cubs and the division. And every time it comes to the Cubs, people are impressed with what they're doing. But also there's this feeling of, like, why didn't they do more in the offseason? Why aren't they financially just crushing everybody in that division?
They should have.
And that's the thing that, we talk about that and I get fired up about it. But this is what people around the game say when they look at this. They should be owning that division instead of renting it a few years at a time every now and then.
So I watched the game on Sunday Night Baseball, and look, it was 1-1 in the 10th. You lost. Okay, that's going to happen. The Phillies have a lot of talent. But when I see Vidal Brujan playing third base,
Terrible play.
And they hit a ground ball at him, and he's got to back up, and then he's got to
Trey Turner.
Get it over there, safe, and another run scores.
Well, you got to know
3-1 in the 10th is a lot different than 2-1.
Without a doubt. And of course, that winds up being the difference. And the other thing that happened in the series was Ben Brown.
Was not good Saturday.
Not good.
We've seen him pitch great against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But Saturday he was not good. They got pounded. He had 3 shutout innings and then fell apart. And Craig Counsell told the media, which I like the directness. I do. When he said, we need better.
Yeah. And, the thing is, it's a message that he's sending. The idea with this is the team that traded you. And, there was a lot of talk about that going in and, you want to beat them and all that. And this is the effort you get. Well, not only is there a message to a young player in a case like this, but also he's literally right. They don't have
you want to
any
keep this spot
anymore.
We need better.
Well, they simply Colin Ray's your fifth starter right now. This guy's your fourth starter right now. Javier Assad's hurt again.
He's going to be out at least another month or more
before ramping up. So, we're talking about, maybe a couple months with this guy.
So what do you do if you don't get Ben Brown right? I think they feel like they will with no Assad on the horizon.
Yeah.
Craig did say he expects Cade Horton to be up here at some point.
Yeah, I know. I was just checking. The only thing about Horton, I think you could put Horton on a bit of a fast track. You're probably going to do it anyway, just out of need, because of where this team is positioned right now. And, with definitely some serious consideration for his development and what you do with his workload and things like that. But the number that stands out to me that's just a red flag on him.
Innings pitched?
No, it's 5.8 walks per 9.
Yeah, that's not good. But
No.
He's also never thrown 100 innings in a season.
No, but that's a long-term thing. Like if you think that you're going to go get somebody at the trade deadline or that this guy's going to give you innings somewhere and he's pitching well now and you might be able to capitalize on that, spend the bullets now. Maybe that's a way to go. Maybe if you think he's ready and you can give it a shot, maybe drop him in for a spot start and see how it works out and then kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is probably what the plan was all along. Let him develop, watch the workload, and then drop him in on an innings limit later in the season. Well, go get somebody at the trade deadline and maybe use him to bridge now. That's the other way to look at it. So
Cade Horton, in terms of innings pitched in his career, he's thrown total in his career 100 and in the minors 3 years, 139 innings.
Yeah. These days, that's actually not bad. And you've seen guys with Paul Skeens, guys with a lot fewer innings get to the big leagues and perform. A guy just up just down the division in Cincinnati, Rhett Lauder last year. He threw his first professional pitch in spring training last year.
Mm-hmm.
And winds up making 6 starts in the big leagues by the end of last year. So these things, there's more and more of this happening now, especially with pitchers that come out of these programs. Cade Horton comes out of Oklahoma, these higher end programs where, and I don't know how much technology Horton had, but a lot of these places have the pitch labs that they have in the big leagues.
Yeah,
now.
It's almost like a mini minor league system.
Yeah. So, the thing is that Cade Horton is, if he can get the walks under control and his command issues fixed, then he should play. He's
okay.
Mature enough. He should.
Let's talk about the lineup because Seiya's off to a very good start offensively. Kyle Tucker's an all-star. PCA's playing at an all-star level. Ian Happ has been up and down, but he's an outstanding defender. You don't have a third baseman on the roster that can play there every day. That's ridiculous. Dansby Swanson has been horrible at the plate, but he's outstanding with the glove.
He just had a play the other day.
Nico Horner is off to a solid start. Michael Busch, I think, is top 25 in OPS. If you look in Major League Baseball.
930 OPS this year.
He's rolling. And then Amaya and Carson Kelly have given you a great duo of catching. So right now,
Carson Kelly, who saw those offensive numbers coming?
Yeah, it's crazy. But so right now, you look at the lineup, the 2 glaring holes, shortstop and third base. How do you fix that?
Well, you don't fix shortstop because he's just going to have to fix it himself. He's a Gold Glover. You'll be fine if he continues to give you the glove. That's fine. That's what you paid him for anyway. You didn't expect off the charts numbers. And as we talked about at the outset here, what Kyle Tucker's done for this lineup is make everybody better. And when you have the superstar bat in the middle of that lineup, and then you got all these other guys that a lot of them have made all-star teams. They're good, solid, everyday players that often can play up for you. And you've got the gloves in the field. So what I'm saying is we know that they've been raking. They've been raking against some good pitching.
Highest scoring team in baseball.
So I don't worry about the bats. I don't worry about the one or two bats that aren't performing now because so many are. I would keep my eye on third base. You're going to have to solidify that position, get somebody in there. It's not backing up on a ball when freaking Turner is hitting it to you.
That was horrible.
And
what about bringing Shaw back?
At some point you will. And that might be the answer because sometimes a guy has to go down. So but keep your eye on that. That'll be a developing situation. Right now, I'm fine with the lineup. It's the pitching that's going to eventually answer whatever questions there are the rest of the way for this team. You got to get the back end of the rotation solidified. Right now, you're kind of hanging in there. You're hanging in there, but Ben Brown last time, no good. Colin Ray's doing a great job, but for how long? You can't bank on that. And then the bullpen. I mean, how many years we've been saying this, but the bullpen's got to settle down.
Okay, so who's in the circle of trust in the Cubs bullpen? Give me a circle of trust in the Cubs bullpen.
I mean, Presley, obviously, Porter Hodge. I mean, he doesn't have good numbers, but you like what you think you're going to get out of him. Man,
Brad Keller, Caleb Thielbar, Porter Hodge, Ryan Presley are all in my circle of trust.
Yeah, and I
Merriweather, maybe.
I mean, based on the way Council's operating, they seem to be in his circle of trust.
But beyond that, I mean, they've run guys in and out. Ethan Roberts, get out. Jordan Wicks, get out. Yeah. They're not messing around. Jed is.
Well, that's what you have to do. And they should have probably done more of that at times the last couple of years. And so keep doing that. And because that's a volatile position area. It always has been, even in this day and age of the analytics and guys getting paid, but the relievers are still extremely volatile compared to everybody else. And so, yeah, your job's on the line every time you go out there. And that's the way it's got to be.
Okay, and then in terms of Gage Workman, he's now a member of the Chicago White Sox, running his mouth about –
I want to beat the Cubs.
I want to beat the Cubs.
Good luck beating anybody with the
Hey, Gage, if you'd have done your job, you'd still be playing third for the Cubs.
Yeah, exactly. So, instead you're talking smack with the worst team in baseball. Are they the worst team in baseball?
No, the Colorado Rockies, and I think the Rockies will be worse all year long.
I don't know about that. I just saw the Rockies, and they're losing a lot of one-run games, and they do have a little bit of pitching. I think the White Sox are worse.
So the Cubs have Thielbar. They're going to get Tyson Miller's back throwing. He should be off the injured list soon. They have Merriweather. They have Porter Hodge. They have Ryan Presley. Like, they've got some guys there that can help, but I think they're a high-end bullpen arm.
That's what we were talking about, right? And every guy that the Cubs supposedly were in on, the Dodgers were in on it. Million plus more.
Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates.
Yeah, so keep going. Go get David Robertson.
He wants $10 million a year, and nobody wants to.
We're a month into the season. Give him 7. Give him 7.5. Go get him.
What is he? 39.
He might be 40. He's pitched well the last 3 years. He pitched well last year.
Then in a league starved for pitching, why is nobody signing him?
Because of what you said. There were 3-4 pitchers that were veterans of a certain age that were asking for a lot. Lance Lynn wasn't going to pitch unless he got his 8-figure salary.
You can keep Lance.
That's fine. My point is that you had guys that when it came to the numbers they were asking for, teams just said, well, we can distribute that money somewhere else. And as we talked about a lot of time, this last offseason was influenced by the oncoming labor negotiations too, and people trying to keep powder dry and be aware of whatever rules changes might be coming and not get and not commit too much money. So that we saw that the Cubs they did cut salary. They actually cut payroll from last year, which is egregious to me, given where you are with your competitive window right now. And so, yeah, that's all part of why Robertson didn't get signed. He can pitch, though. He's not coming in there with 99 miles an hour and wiping people out with slider from hell, but he's still got good stuff, and he got outs last year, and he got a lot of strikeouts last year. He's a veteran. He's pitched in New York. He pitched for the Cubs before. This guy can handle the big stage. I don't know why you don't try harder to go get him. And I just got to believe it's all about money.
I would think that's why nobody in baseball is saying.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So, but there's a lot of need out there, and maybe nobody has more than the Cubs right now.
I was also told Jed has been active on the phones trying to lay the groundwork at least to make a trade or two. Just nobody wants to move on April 28th.
Nobody's doing it now. Yeah. And even the Marlins who moved Arise last year, the first week of May, they've got Alcantara. And I just saw Alcantara pitch. I saw him pitch his first quality start of the year. I think it was his last start, middle of the week. So they're trying to raise value with him.
Yeah, he's not back to being a number one starter.
Although
yet.
when I saw him, his fastball was back at 99. He was commanding his changeup. He's about there. So a few more starts, and maybe they start listening to some offers.
Get it done, Jed. Get it done. If I told you that I believe they're going to sign Kyle Tucker, I'm more optimistic today than I have been. What would you say?
I would say about effing time.
Yeah, it is about effing time. If you told me he was 33 looking for 10 years, I'd be like, see you later. Like the Cardinals did with Pujols at 32, who wanted 10 years and got it from Artie Moreno and the Angels.
They thought they were gonna do a version of Shohei where they were gonna get the Latin guy that comes in, and they were gonna expand their marketplace in Southern California. And they put him on billboards with Spanish language, and it just didn't play. I mean, he didn't play. That was the problem.
Okay, but Kyle Tucker's 28. He'll be 29 next January. If you could get him on a 10-year deal, I've been doing a lot of reading about this. So Vladimir Guerrero got 14 years, $500 million. It's a $35.7 million average annual value. He's also 25 years old, turning 26. If I told you that the Cubs said to Kyle Tucker, you were his representative, 10 years, $420 million, you taking it? $42 million a year.
I might take that. Like
right now.
Like right now. Could you go to the marketplace and get more? You might. I mean, he's going to now, as we sit here, he's the top hitter on the market coming.
Right, but it takes all the pressure off you.
It does, and that's you talk about that's $6 million more and $6+ million more in average value. I believe maybe it's 5.5, and average annual value. That's pretty good. The number starts with a 4. That's kind of the magic number on that first digit. And
you got 10 years.
And it's well into that, and it's 10 years. I don't know how much more I'm negotiating off of that if they come in like that.
Right.
It just kind of Boris is your agent. Boris might say, look, I can get you this because, I've analyzed the market and you're the guy here and I've done this with guys before and we can get you this. Don't do that yet. But it's also, if he likes it here and it's a destination market anyway.
Right.
And that's a sign that you intend to continue to try to compete going forward. It's a division that's not the NL West or the AL East or the NL East. Yeah, I mean, you should be competing every year. It's a great place to play in terms of you always sell out. It's Chicago, for God's sake.
And if you really look at it, okay, he's a star. PCA looks like he's going to be a star. You've got pretty solid team, and Cade Horton coming, who might be a top of the rotation starter. You get Justin Steele back next year. You've got Imanaga. You got another year of Tyone. Like, that's a really good baseball team.
So you gave me a hypothetical. Let me give you one. Since you told me if the Cubs go to him and offer him $420 for 10, I'm going to say, that's great. I say yes. So I say to you, how are the Cubs going to F that up? Because they're either just simply not going to go anywhere near that number, or they're going to somehow screw it up. Because
I think they will.
You think they're going to get it done?
I do. I believe more wholeheartedly they will get the deal done with him. If he wants to be here. I believe they are convinced they got to break the bank.
Ever since 15-16, when Theo was running it, and when they thought they were close, and they went and got Lester, and they went and got Hayward, they have not been willing to pay market value for guys. They've tried to win every transaction, and I just don't know that. I don't know. Are they gonna pay the cost of doing business in Major League Baseball?
I think they are. Folks, quick time out to talk about something serious. We've all said it before. If only I had slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new campaign is called If Only, and it's a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk. It affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they'd done things differently. So take the extra time, slow down, save lives, including yours, depend on it. That is the Slow Down campaign by the Illinois Tollway, a great partner of us here at the Recap. All right, so we've talked about Kyle Tucker. Vladimir Guerrero's up on your computer.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I didn't think he was quite as young as 25. He just turned 26.
He just turned 26. And he got 14 years. So maybe the Cubs have to go to 11 years. Maybe he says, I'm 28, give me 11.
11 at what? 11 at 440?
Something like that.
10 at 420 was your number before.
Right.
That's the 11?
Yeah.
Maybe,
11 at
maybe.
$40 million a year, something like that.
I mean, at that point, what are you negotiating for at that point?
Like, if you're Kyle Tucker, if you really like it here, and I hear he does, why are you not taking that?
Yeah. I mean, there's, like Guerrero's deal. He's signing with the Blue Jays. It's obviously all U.S. money, and then there's tax considerations on that stuff. When you sign with Texas, there's tax considerations compared to when you sign with New York, and so all these things, or California, all these things come into play. So I'm wondering, when you go 10 at 420 and 11 at 440, what are we negotiating when we get to that point? What's the reason you want one more year, or 10 more million?
What do you think people around the game would say if the story broke? Chicago Cubs are in agreement on a massive deal with Kyle Tucker. What do you think the people around the game would say? What do you think the fan base would say?
I think there'd be a pretty strong minority of the fans. I think it's the minority, but it'd be a pretty strong vocal group that say what they always do. That's way too much.
Right.
And then there's going to be people that give them a standing ovation because they did it. They finally did it.
Right.
And you know what? And the thing about this
who would you not break the bank for? And who would you break the bank for if not this guy?
I mean, look, we talked about Justin Steele and, extensions for pitching and things like that. Justin Steele just had elbow surgery. He's out for the year.
Yeah.
That's the risk you take with a pitcher. The risk you take with a hitter is the Hayward risk, right? He answered the bell every day. He just didn't perform at the plate. He performed in the field. He was a good clubhouse guy. That's the risk of doing business and the cost of doing business. And that's why you look at the Phillies and Dave Dombrowski. That guy's won everywhere he's gone. He's gone big everywhere he's gone. And fans respond to that. I'm as a fan and an observer of this game, I'm a fan of the way Dombrowski does things and the way executives like that do things. Go big or go home, especially if they're the Chicago freaking Cubs.
Can't disagree. All right, you want to fall on your sword now and tell everybody out there, yeah, I was probably wrong. I underestimated this club.
I didn't say they'd fall on their face.
Oh, my God.
I said it would be they had a tough schedule coming up, and we would know a lot about this team. And they could be buried the first month of this season. This is going to be a big month for them, I said, and we'll know
a
lot about it.
You were a little negative.
And you know what? I'm going to give you credit. Well, I'm not going to give you credit. I didn't see you throw a pitch. But I'm going to give that team credit for going through the toughest month-long schedule anybody in baseball might play this year and coming out on top with 17 wins and first place in the division.
If I had bet you when the season started, after they were 0-2, in fact, to the Dodgers, and I said to you, they'll be in first at the end of the division, you would have ended the month.
Well,
you'd have laughed at me.
I would have laughed if you'd have said 17 wins. I wouldn't have laughed at first place because neither one of us thought much.
If I said they have 17 wins and they play again tomorrow, I mean, they could be at 18, 19.
And on pace for what are they? 17 and 12 as we talk here. So what is that? That's I get my calculator right here. 17 divided by 29, right?
They're on pace for like 102.
So 586 winning percentage. That's 95 wins. So,
is that what they're on pace for?
Yeah. So if you'd have said at the end of that stretch, they'll be on pace for 95 wins.
You'd have laughed at me.
I'd have bet my freaking house.
Gordon, good to see you, man.
All right.
All right. Cubs and Pirates is our look ahead. And that's in Pittsburgh. And then the Cubs and the Brewers in Milwaukee. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you listening to the Cubs Recap Podcast presentation of our Recap YouTube channel and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcast. Brought to you by the Illinois Tollway and the If Only campaign. If only I had slowed down. We've all said it before. That's the new campaign. If only, please slow down. We need you. Take that.